Because I'm happy going along. If you, I can't sing too much of that. I'm gonna get claimed or something. Well, hello there, everybody. My name is Andy. Welcome back to my channel. I usually talk about sex education kind of topics on this channel, and although I've been away for a little bit, and you'll find out why in a couple of weeks. That's right, I've got a YouTuber secret. No, I don't really. If you've been following me on Twitter or Instagram, you probably know already. But there's been a few things happening in my life, good things, and you'll find out in a few weeks what exactly that is here on YouTube. It is warm in here today. It's one of the warmest days. It's the bank holiday weekend, right? And it's one of the warmest days we've had in London for a long time. And I've had to have the window shut, of course, because otherwise you can hear everybody playing their music because it's warm, it's a bank holiday. Which means that in here, with my lights on and everything like that, it's particularly warm. But my regular videos are on sex education topics, similar kind of welfare topics, that kind of thing. So anyhow, I make videos more or less every week, usually. So good reason to, just click that subscribe button down there. This week, the video, a bit different, and it's something I've been thinking of for a little while. You've probably understood this from the title already, but it's about why my future wife, hopefully, needs to be a feminist. Now, I'm going to caveat that quite heavily right now. When I say needs to be a feminist, I don't necessarily mean that they need to label themselves a feminist or even subscribe to my definition of feminism or whatever. What I really mean is, well, I'm going to explain that. So just towel down before I go any further. Glistening off the bloody screen. Now, of course, there are many definitions of feminism, and you might believe in a set of these, one of these definitions, but not call yourself a feminist, and that's fine. You don't have to be. You don't have to like the word. You don't have to like the label. But the long and short of most definitions is that you believe that men and women are equal. They should be afforded the same opportunities, the same basic rights, the same punishments if required, the same everything, right? Now, of course, there are things which are unavoidably different. Nobody's saying that cis men should be starting to give birth sometime soon, right? Nobody's saying that at all. But of course, depending on how what you grew up with feminism and how you interpret feminism. I'm going to say that word a lot in this video. I'd like to get it right. Depends how you interpret feminism as to what you kind of think the, not the end goals as such, but the methods, the means to get there are. So what do I mean by feminism, and what are the routes that I would take to get to that end point? Well, as a online sex educator, one of the things which I really think needs to happen is that men are taught about periods and things which affect cis women, or should I say people who have periods. And you might think, well, hang on, this isn't anything to do with women. It's not promoting, not trying to uplift women and things like that. No, it's educating men. It's educating people who have never been educated about it. It's not their fault. It's not often that you choose to be educated about something which doesn't affect you, or doesn't directly affect you, because it certainly does affect you. So I'm a big believer, not just periods, about women's issues in general, right? Men, cis men, and people who don't have fallopian tubes should be educated in women's issues. I don't mean necessarily from a political standpoint, just on a facts basis. Periods is a simple one, right? Because it's undeniable truth. It's accepted by the whole of mankind, I hope, that people have periods, or at least half the population do. So in this country, in the UK, not only do I think that young men should be taught about periods, they should be taught about the suffragette movement, they should be taught about the equal rights that have been gained over the last 50 to 60, 70 years by women, about the historical inequality of women in the UK, but also how a lot of these rights are not afforded to people around the world. A good example, of course, being Saudi Arabia, where women have only recently been allowed to drive, which is quite a feat for Saudi Arabia, but there was never a ban in the UK, so The next thing I would say that is necessary to combat the inequality of women with other genders is not commenting on women's outfits and things like that when it's inappropriate to do so. I don't mean not complimenting them. I mean not specifically writing newspaper columns about how terrible such a dress was at whatever award ceremony it is. They can wear what they want. We've all seen at places like the Met Gala, you might have seen that. Fantastic dresses, not just worn by women, by the way, worn by men as well. And that kind of place is all about wearing weird, wacky, brilliant things. But I guarantee if anybody turned up to the soap awards in those things, they'd get torn to shreds in the papers the next day. Usually, unfortunately, by other women. Which is perhaps kind of where I'm going round to the point of why my future wife needs to be a feminist. I genuinely think that there are plenty of people out there who, they don't necessarily need feminism. They've been advantaged in other ways. But that doesn't mean that they get to tell other women what to do. I'm not going to entertain somebody who says that because that woman is wearing this, or because that woman is acting in such a way that they were asking for it. That's the usual one, right? So you've got a young girl out in a short dress going clubbing, perfectly reasonable, but if they get sexually assaulted, it's their fault apparently, not the person that's doing the sexual assault. How ridiculous. Now, of course, I reckon that the vast majority of people watching this video, if not all of them, hopefully, will agree with me with that, right? It's not the fault of the person who gets sexually assaulted that they were sexually assaulted. They could be wearing absolutely nothing. It doesn't make any difference, does it? What somebody wears doesn't give somebody else the right to sexually assault them. Surely that's simply obvious. But the third and final reason why my future wife must be a feminist is that I reckon they should go out and have their own career and not worry about bringing up any children that we might have. This is way off the mark currently. I don't even have a girlfriend right now. But in the hypothetical future of me having a wife and having children with her, I would 100% not expect her to stay at home with the children whilst I had a good time somewhere. But I'd also expect not to be the person that has to go out and do the work and the breadwinning and all the rest of it just to keep a stay-at-home mum, unless that was reasonable and that's what she wanted to do. It depends on the situation, right? Potentially, my future wife could earn a lot more than me. So maybe it would make more sense if I stayed home on paternity leave. Why not? If my future wife is watching this, don't take this as like the rules. This is kind of a hypothetical situation, but this is my point really. The traditional gender roles should be irrelevant really. It's whoever is best placed to do whatever particular thing at whatever particular time. The situation should dictate who does what, not previous traditional roles. Yeah. One thing is for sure though, I'm probably not going to put that on my dating profile. I'd be really interested actually to know what you think about this, whether you are a man, woman, or some gender in between those two. What do you think about this? Do you think it's reasonable for me to want my future wife to be a feminist? Let me know in the comments. If you like the video, then give it a thumbs up. You can do that just down below. And I make videos more or less every week, honest. So subscribe, click the little bell so you're notified of when I next upload. And I will hopefully, therefore, see you next time. Bye-bye.